All right. Hi, everyone. So I hope that you realize that you are in the Python course. So I had in previous courses, I taught somebody sets, and then after 15 minutes, 30 minutes, he's in the room class. So everybody doing Python or data science here? Good. All right. So welcome to the course. This course, as you know, it's a graduate course. However, we'll have some of you are senior students or junior students for undergrad students. How many of you are undergrad? Senior? Undergrad. So about 2 students are undergrad. All right, 3. I think I will have more. All right. So this course is an intensive course. It's not an easy course at all. Although some undergrad students are taking it, that does not make it an easy course. So the good news that we start from the very beginning. We start from the very beginning. So we start Python as if you don't know Python, but you have to have a good background in programming. So I'm sure some of you or most of you have taken other programming language before. C, C++, Java, and hopefully it's an object-oriented programming. OOP is very important to know before this class. So this is all the requirements. The requirements for this course, just to let you know, before you delve in and attend many classes and then you decide it might not be your fit yet. You have to have other language programming. You have to have the foundation programming. You should know object-oriented programming a little bit. Okay, if you have to know what's object-oriented programming, and you should have done some work with that. All right. At the very beginning, we'll start from simple sentences like print, sentence, loops. Creating like variables, assigning values to variables, but we're going to go very fast on this. All right? And the idea in here is to prep you to know the basics of Python. Then after that, we're going to use Python as a tool for data sciences. All right? So the second half of the program, not the program, the course, you'll learn more advanced packages or libraries that you're gonna use. That's why I'm sharing with you the books we're gonna use in this class. Okay, so basically we're gonna use at least these, all right, or part of these from this book. Yes.
Do we have to purchase them?
Maybe. We'll talk about it in a second.
Oh, sorry.
All right. So, any questions so far? There is no GA, no GA.
So, if I get a question, I ask you, or?
You could ask me, or you could ask yourself. We'll talk about it.
All right.
Of course, you could ask me. Okay, but we'll have enough resources for you. All right. Any other questions before we? Okay. So we'll talk a little bit about Python. What is Python, and what are the packages we're going to talk about. But I would like also to tell you that Python programming languages is a high-level programming language. It's a big demand in the market. It's kind of the most used programming language for machine learning, deep learning, for data sciences. All right. It's an open source language. It's a very important programming language that you'll learn in this class, but I don't think 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 classes or courses would be enough to learn what comes with Python. All right. As an example, if you, for example, would like to use, for example, NumPy. Okay, NumPy. It's just one package of Python. I'll talk about it a little bit now, but we might cover 2 whole lectures about NumPy. Okay, just to introduce you to it. All right. If you are using machine learning or deep learning, you have to know NumPy. for plotting, for example, for plotting, okay, 2D graphs, okay, matplotlib, all right? This is a very simple thing that you could use. It's much more complex. I could cover actually 2 whole courses just to how to use Python and Matplotlib. We introduce you to it, all right? So SciPy, all the packages related to math, okay, like differential equations, name it, right? SciPy, okay, and it's used very much in the data science and machine learning, deep learning, okay. This book is like mastering SciPy. Once you start reading on it, you'll find that it's a little bit difficult because it goes deep. So you might need to go educate yourself a little bit about the basics of SciPy, and then you jump into this. All right? We'll go over that. Okay. All of you have heard about machine learning and deep learning, right? Machine learning and deep learning. This course is not the deep learning or machine learning. However, we'll introduce you to deep learning and machine learning in this course. So you'll be ready to go after you learn all the required packages, the basics of the required packages, maybe writing a couple of codes or learning a couple of codes about machine learning. Then after that you'll have a general idea how to use, all right? But Python is one of the major or main languages used in machine learning and deep learning, right? And you know how up this field, right? I have shared a video on the Canvas. Anybody watched the video? No? Anybody accessed the Canvas for the course? Did you see my announcements? Okay. So there's a video there. I forgot what's the video about. I think I listed like a month ago. Okay, but it talks about the most important languages and the market outside for them, and Python came, I think, number 1. That compared to Java and the demand. All right. So it's a very important language. Okay. All right. So let me ask you a question. All right. What do you need to be a good programmer? Problem solving skills. That's number 1. Let's write it down. Problem solving skills. Okay. What else? Make mistake. Do you need to make mistakes to learn programming?
Okay, how about practical?
Practicing. Okay, so practice. Yeah. Okay, practice. Practice. I'm just writing what you think of. What else? And I forgot to mention in my classes, I would like to have it interactive classes. Okay, you asking questions, I'll ask you questions. Okay. All right, it's very important. Okay, it's very important to come with your laptop having the package that is required, the IDE or whatever compiler you're going to use to write your programs. What else?
Logic reasoning.
What?
Logical reasoning.
Logical reasoning. Okay. What else?
Analytical approach.
Analytical, okay. Okay, analytical, okay, what else?
Curiosity.
Curiosity, okay. All right.
Allow time.
Time?
Time.
Time. You mean time heals once, right? Time heals once. All right, what else? So let's take a look what you have, what you suggested. Okay, problem solving skills. All right. We need it for many sciences. Okay, so not only for problems. It's very important, but we need it everywhere. All right. What makes you a good engineer? What makes you a good scientist? What makes you a good politician? What makes you a good maybe you have to have certain skills for solving a problem. Do you agree? Same thing with practice. What makes you a good doctor, medical doctor? Practice. What makes you a good football player? Playing for Patriots. Practice, right? Could be anything. What makes you a good logical reasoning? Well, this is by itself is a core thing. You have to have a logic, all right? And analytical analysis, or you'll be able to analyze things. This is also important. Time for everything is important, right? But when you talk about programming, first of all, the first thing you have to have, okay, the foundation of programming. Right? So, when you talk about variables, it's available in all programming languages. Loops available in all programming languages, right? How data is saved in the memory, how to write to the memory, how to write from the memory, right? Then after that, object-oriented programming is available in many other languages like C++, Java, or Fortran. Fortran does not. I don't know. Anyways, right? So you have to have a good foundation. So if you have a very good foundation in C++, for example, and then you move to Python, is it a big deal? It's not. So the second thing that you need to have a good language. Right? So all of us have ideas. But we need to have a language that we speak to express them. Right? And very good language. So in this country, you have to have good English to express your ideas. Otherwise, you can have great ideas, but you cannot express them, right? Same thing in here. You have to be very good in one language, that you are very good, that you could write the code and you build your logic, that you could have outcome, right? This could be C#, could be Python, could be Java, could be any language you want. It doesn't matter, but you have to have a good skills in the language. How to write the for loop, how to open a file, how to save to a file, right? How to create classes if you're using object-oriented programming, right? Okay, so you have to have a very good language. Number 3, what you need to have, you have to be very good in the algo. What's algo? Algorithms. You have to have a logical thinking. You have to have very good how to convert a problem into algorithm. Or how can you use current algorithm to solve a problem. Right? Anything else is common. What we're talking about here, about programming language. So I would assume that all of you took algorithms class, at least one. Anybody did not? You did not take algorithms class? You could learn it by yourself. Okay, we'll cover so what algorithm? You know what's algorithm? Before
I don't know.
you know what's algorithm? Anybody can tell us what's algorithm?
Set of steps to solve a problem.
Exactly. Okay, logical steps. So for example, if I have these numbers 4, 9, 3, 2, 1, 0, 6, for example, and I need to sort them. So we're gonna write an algorithm. What we call the algorithm? Sort algorithm. But there is many of them. There is many sort algorithms. Binary algorithm, sort algorithm, etc., etc. There's algorithms, set of steps. All right. So why we have many algorithms? Because we always in algorithms we care about the performance of the algorithm. Performance. What is performance? The speed. Here we have in the board we have 6 numbers to sort. Any algorithm will be fine, fast enough. But if you have 1 trillion number that you need to sort, the quality, the performance of the algorithm makes a big difference. one algorithm could sort it for you in a few seconds, and one algorithm could solve it for you or sort it for you in a few days. All right. So so there is something called algorithms, trees. There is different kind of trees, binary trees, logic trees, etc., etc. Right? So algorithms is very, very important. Anybody have done data structure? Data structure is part of algorithms, right? So it's very important that you know some algorithm or how algorithms work. This is simple steps. When you have a problem in hand, you try to solve. The first thing that you try to recognize logically, write the algorithm. Pseudocode. It's not a language. Pseudocode. Then after that, you translate the pseudocode into Python code. Program. Right? That's what this algorithm. All right. Anything else you think? You need to have foundation. You need to have a good language. You need to have basics in data structure, algorithm. Okay. That is the foundation for programming. You need to have all. Right. So in this class, we are not going to teach you algorithms. You should, as a graduate course, you should have taken algorithm class. Although you could use algorithm in some of the programs. But again, you are a graduate student or senior student, you always could learn that by yourself, right? Okay. We're going to teach you the language, okay, with the packages, and the foundation you should have. The foundation you should have. So, foundation, I'm not going, for example, in this course to tell you if you say x equals x plus 1. In math, this is correct or wrong? Wrong, right? In programming language, it's correct or right?
Correct.
It's correct. All right? And right. All right? It's correct and right, right? So you have to understand what is the logic, the basic things of the program. We agreed? We agreed on that? Yes. All right. So, any questions so far? No questions? All right. So, right away let's talk about Python. Let me just dim the lights. I'm not sure, is that good or you like it like that? I'm good both ways. This way? This way?
Yeah.
This way? Okay. All right, so, I'm sure some of you read a program with Python. Anybody did Python before? Python, little bit? Little bit, okay. Okay, you're gonna do a lot of bit here in this class, okay, a lot of programming, okay. So, of course, it's a recent language invented in 19 by a person from Netherlands, and it's an open source. And it's very important that you realize that open source. Open source, that means that many people could add to it. Okay, yourself, you could write a package and share it with people. All right, it's very easy to import packages that's written by programmers from different disciplines for different needs from all the world. All right, it's a general purpose. It's a high-level programming language. It's multi-paradigm programming language too. It supports fully the object-oriented programming, which is very important. Any language, recent language does not support OOP is a problem. Also is a structured programming language, structured, like Pascal. Okay, and it's highly extensible language. All right, there's different implementation. Okay, again, Python is an open source. So even there is people write the compiler by itself. So there is different implementation. Okay, so there is C Python, which is written using C. That's why we start with the C Python, and that's the one we are using in this course. Okay, and in this course we are using version 3.7, 1, 2, whatever you would like. Just I would like to mention, and this is very important, that there is two major classes of Python. There is Python 2 and Python 3, and they are not compatible. They are not backward compatible, they are not forward compatible. All right? So either you use Python 2 or Python 3. Okay, you could call them kind of different languages. So many sentences, many things just in a different way. So in this class we are using Python 3. Python 3. You might like entertain a code from somewhere and it's written in Python 2. So you have to make sure that you convert the logic or the language to Python 3 to be able to program it. All right. There is other Python implementation. There is PyPy, which is a Python interpreter. Okay. And just in time, JIT compiler. There is JPython, okay, which is like built by Java. Okay. There is IronPython, which is written in C#, okay, or C#. Okay. So different implementations. However, in my course, we are using CPython version 3.7, and there is different implementations for that. Okay. There is 4 major programming, high-level programming languages that most of you have done. C++, how many of you done C++? Most of you. How about Java? Most of you. C#? Most of you. Python? A few of you. All right? Some of you. All right. So the question is, how different Python from the other 3 languages? You'll find some differences. Actually, in the concept, C++ and C# and Java are the same. So the same way you write the for loop, the while loop, the same way you declare variables and all of that. Python a little bit different. Python a little bit different. Who thinks Python is easier?
That's what I've heard.
Okay. Yeah. So many people claim Python is much more easier than the other languages. Okay. I don't. I don't think it's easier or harder. I don't. It's different. It's kind of different, right? Just you have to get used to it. People who come from different background, different programming language, always at the beginning compare a lot. Oh, that's how we do it now. Okay, I used to do it this way in C++, now how I do it now. Stop that, it's not useful. Just enjoy Python as like the future language, as a different language, stop comparing. All right, if you can, right? So if you are a programmer, you program all your life using C++, and all of a sudden you're programming with Python, you'll find yourself at the beginning comparing a lot, But, my advice, don't, all right, so as I told you, there is different implementations. So there is 2 and the 3. We are using the 3.7 now, all right, which came in September 2015. So for those who like to compare, so if you look at this code, Java code and Python code. So for example, in here, what in the first line in here, what we are doing, creating a function, right? A function calculate future value, and we are defining in here variables. Okay, the first one is monthly investment, and it's double, and monthly rate, which is double, and the number of months, which is integer. And then you have like the body of the function, and at the end of the function, what you do, you return a value, right? All right. So what you do in here, so double future value, you initialize the value, and each line ends with semicolon, right? Typical C++ Java, all right? Then you have the loop, the for loop, and the for loop usually has how many sections? 3 sections separated by the semicolon, right? Okay, so for you initialize I to 1, and you keep moving as long as I less or equal than the number of months. All right, so if the number of months is 12, how many times you get a loop? 12 times, right? And every time you loop, you're gonna add the I. So it starts from 1, then 2, then 3, then whatever, right? And then whatever you do your job in here, you assign an expression to the variable called future value. At the end, you return it, right? That's Java, right? Look in here, it looks a little bit simpler. Okay? So any function in Python starts with def. You have to define it first. We did not do that. All right? So calculate the future value. Same thing, these are the inputs, for the function. And each function, as you said, starts with the def and ends with colon. Don't forget the colon. All right? So always remember the colon. Then you have future value. What is the future value? It's a variable. It's a variable, right? But in Python, we don't declare the type. We didn't put double, integer, whatever it is. All right, it will know by itself. So in here, you declare kind of a double variable, but you don't tell it's a double, but it might know because you have 0.0. So if you put 0 or 1, it might be realized as an integer, right? Same thing, the for is much more easier here. So for I in range. So what are the months? Let's say that we passed for the month is 12, okay? 12. Then this will ranges from where to where? From 0 to 11. From 0 to 11. All right? From 0 to 11. And then it does the same thing. Here is the same as this. And also return a value. You will find also that in Python you could return multiple values. So you could, for example, return future value, x, y, multiple values. Right? I'm not sure if you are allowed to write with this in here or not. I don't know. I don't know. So we have to run this. I don't know why I don't know how to write. Maybe I'm not allowed to write with this. I have to be careful. Okay, so as you see, maybe some of you think it's anyways, so easier or much more difficult? I don't know. All right. So why Python is a great first language? Many people try to use it as a first language nowadays. Many computer science programs, Usually when I started programming myself, many years back, they taught me Fortran. And after that, they started with Pascal as a first language. Then C, then C++, now Java. Now many universities, many colleges converting to Python as a first language. All right? Whether it's a good idea or not a good idea, that's debatable. You could agree, but disagree. Myself, sometimes I agree, sometimes I disagree. But anyways, Python has a simple syntax that's easier to read and use than most other languages. That's true. I mean, the way you write the sentence is closer to your English language than the other languages. All right? Python has most of the features of traditional programming languages. As a result, you can use Python to learn concepts and skills that apply to those languages, and that's true. So everything you could use in C++, you could use in Python, just written differently. Okay, Python supports the development of a wide range of programs. So it's used for games a lot. Okay, for web applications, actually they have frameworks like Django. Anybody heard about Django? All right, it's like a whole framework for web development. Right? Also, it could be used for systems administration, for security, for many things. Python, in my opinion, what makes Python a very strong language, and it's a big demand for it outside, the support from giant companies like Google. Google, most of Google applications written with Python. And you know what's Google? All right, Google. Okay, IBM, Disney, EA Games. Many companies outside developers use Python. Okay, just Google to me is enough by itself. Okay, so there's a lot of need for that. Python is an open source, so there are many advantages of being open source. Okay, so you could use packages from third parties. You could develop your packages and share it with everybody. You know, like all these programs. So when you talk about SciPy, NumPy, whatever you know, different packages like TensorFlow, Scikit-learn, written by people, but became like a very used by everyone in different fields, right? So that's really a good advantage. So you could have a console application. So you could write the console like simple C++ code and run it from the console, and you could have a Giga application. Okay, and you could have web application like Django, whatever. So Python allows you to do all of that. So this is a simple code, the simple code for calculating the future value. So if you have like a certain X amount of money that you try to invest over certain months, how much the future value? All right. So if you have $1,000 every month, okay, let me see how smart you are. You are. Okay, if you have $1,000 you invest every month for 10 years, and the interest rate you're getting is 0. So how much you're gonna have after 10 years? Over 10 years. 120. Because every month 1,000, 12 months, how many? 12,000, 10 years, 120. Interest rate, how much? 0. Then, okay. What if you have 10% interest rate? Then you have to write the code for it, right? So simple, right? Simple, right? So look in here. Shaban, you start with Shaban, simple code. We're gonna do a lot of this. So this is very important if you're using Linux or Unix environment, but for Windows you don't have to do it. And basically what you're gonna do, you're gonna put the path for where you have Python code, and in here you indicate it's a Python 3, not 2. Then you're gonna start usually with import libraries. Okay, import libraries. There's so many packages or libraries that you have to import. If you're gonna use math functions, you have to import math library, and so on and so forth. So it's import, right? In C++, what do we call it? What do you use C++? Huh? Use? Yeah. All right. And we'll learn about different ways how to import libraries. For a comment, you start with hash. So set the locale for use in currency formatting. Okay. So locale, which is a library, it has a method inside it called set locale. Set locale. So locale is a library, a class. Okay. Set locale or local, and the local. Okay, for all the different, the numbers and the currency and all of that. And you are not setting anything. You are not setting anything. It will tell you in the result what you have by default. Then you check it. If this C, then set it to the English US. Send it to English US. Right? If you are in Germany, you're gonna set it for German or Dutch, Dutch currency, Dutch numbers, whatever it is, right? All right, so that's you set the, why you need that? Because you're dealing with money. And for American money, what we use? The dollar sign. All right? All right. Okay. So then display a welcome. So very simple. If you need to print a screen, what are you gonna have? Print. Print is the sentence used. So print, we usually have the print. Okay, print. okay? If you are printing a text, you have to put it in quotes. And we don't need to have a semicolon or colon or whatever at the end. We don't use that at all. In Python, forget, you could forget. You use semicolon if you need to put multi-line, multi-sentence in one line. Otherwise, you don't need that. So if you say print hello world, or print hello world, right? So this is the second sentence, and this is a built-in function. You don't need to include the library for it. So welcome to the future value calculator. Print, nothing inside will print an empty line for you. Then choice. I did not need to declare, is it integer, is it a double, is it a variable, it's a character. But you don't declare it, right? Or a string. While choice, lower. What is lower? So lower whatever the input is. A lowercase, okay? So while choice, this is the choice. What is choice? It's a character. What I'm doing in here, lower it. So if I put capital, it will lower it. If the small still will be small. Equals y, okay? And then what you gonna sorry, you're gonna get input from the user. So monthly investments. I'm going slowly now. Sorry if you're bored. But for those who are new, okay, monthly investments, okay. Float. Forget about float. Okay, about input. What is input? It's the opposite of print. What is input? Reads from the keyboard. Print, prints to the screen. Print, enter monthly investment. So what will be this? This will be the message that will be displayed for you when you execute with that tab. So it will give you a cursor to enter something. Okay, when you enter it, it will be first casted to be a float. And then it will be saved where? In a variable called monthly investment. Alright, so we have learned how many? We learned print, to print to the screen. We learned input, to read from the keyboard. And this is the indication will be given when you do it, and then it will receive the data and save it where? In the variable. So we learned about how many functions we learned so far? Print, input, float, forecast. Then after that, the same thing, we need to know the interest rate. So the monthly investment, let's say it's $1,000 would be saved. Then after that, we're gonna read the interest rate. So let's say it's 10%. So you're gonna enter 10 and it will be saved in yearly interest rate. And then after that, years, the number of years. The same thing, you're gonna read the input, the years, and the years, it's always integer. So here what you are doing, you cast into integer. So let's say the years is 10 years. Right? So then after that, you convert the yearly value to monthly value. How you convert the yearly value? So 10% is like 10 years. So very simple. How you do it? Yearly interest rate divided by 12 months, and you convert it to percentage. Like 10% will be, you know. And then the months, and then we have the years. You're gonna convert them to months, right? Simple logic. I'm not focusing on the logic. I'm focusing on the language itself. Just I need you to get used to the language. Future value equals 0. Do they need to declare the type? No. Okay. Then 4. Look at 4. 4in range. So what are the months?
0 to 11.
Okay, depends on the months, right? How much is the months? Depends on the number of years. What is the number of the years? Here. So if I put 10 years, then 10 times 12 will be 120. How much in here will be? 0 to 1? 19. 119, right? It's gonna loop. And you know what's gonna happen in here. It's a simple program. So future value plus monthly investment. Then you multiply it by the monthly interest rate, and then you add the result to here, and you keep looping for 119 times. After that, you're gonna print the future value, okay, using the currency of the local you have set up. All right? You don't have to do that. If you need to do it directly, like $sign or whatever, you could. I mean, you could fancy enough, and then you print online. Okay? And you're gonna keep looping here. Choice, input, continue, and print. So print at the end, print one. Okay. So that's that's a simple code for that. So what I would like to do now, introduce you to the IDEs. Okay. So how are you gonna write the code? All right. So there's different packages that you could use. One of them is you go to Python. I think it's python.org. So if you go python.org, alright. So that's the main page for Python. Okay, and if you go to downloads, so you could download Python 3.72, and for Windows, for Linux, for whatever environment you are using. So the latest one is 3.72. You can do that. You can do one before that, but it has to be 3.7. That's what we are using, right? And when you download it, it will give you some instructions. You follow the instructions. I'll show you in the PowerPoint, and make sure you install the pip where you can add the packages for that. All right. So if you see in here myself, if I go to CMD, okay, so C colon, okay, CD Python, that's where it is my my Python. Okay, I install it directly in the Python. It's a good habit if you're planning to have multiple Python versions to give the version. So save it in a Python, for example, 3.7 that you know. Okay, or sometimes for some programmers they need to have multiple versions of Python, so it's good to have it. So if you type Python, I think it'll tell you the version that you have. I have 3.70 here, so I'm missing 2. And the one in here, I have a 32-bit. In case that you need to have a 64-bit, you have to look for it from the page. So there's a 64-bit. This is a 32-bit. If later on you're planning to write codes in machine learning, deep learning, it's very good to use the 64-bit because the memory limit for 32-bit is 4 GB. And for a huge applications, you're going to use a lot of memory, so it's very good to have the newer version. All right? This is one of the applications. All right, so I have it installed. Okay, once you install it, it will give you the idle. That's the idle. Okay, so for example, you could print, for example, hello world. Don't forget the second comma in here, otherwise. So it's printed for you the whole world. Okay, x, for example, x the 3 plus 2, for example. Okay, print x 5, right? One way to differentiate between Python 2 and 3, the print in Python 2, you don't have to have parentheses. You don't have to have that parentheses, right? In Python 3 you have parentheses, and so on and so forth. This is the interactive, right? If you need, for example, to import a library, import locale, for example, it's already imported. If you try to import Abu's name, that's my name, Abu's name, give you error. There's no package called Abu's name, right? So you could do things interactive when you need to write simple code in here. All right? So also you could open files. So for example, file in here, file, open, okay. Let me go to my desktop, Google Drive, CS, Python programming, okay, and the text box in here, student download, and book app, chapter 1, right, future value, all right, fine, save it somewhere, just like that, and that's the program, just we went over it, remember, about the future value, right? So it has to be saved, and this is the idle, this is the default, the simplest, most simple IDE that you could use, right? And it's very important to have it in your, I'll show you different ones, but it's very important to have it. So F5, or you could do run module, okay? So you have seen that enter monthly investment, so let's say 1,000, right? Enter yearly interest rate, let's try with 0 first, all right? And enter number of years, 10. So how much result you expect? 1 in 20,000, the future value. Here you go, 1 in 20,000. Remember the loop that you said continue, so let's do it again, 1,000. And let's say 10%. Sorry. Did I say yes? Okay. I did not say yes. I'm sorry. So let's F5. Let's F5 it, or let's say here. Run. Or you could write F5. Okay. Okay, enter monthly investments, again 1,000, okay, 10%, and 10 years, give you a different result, 206, whatever, 552.02 over 10 years, all right? So this is like a console application, very easy, you could write it. Also, you could try the Kiwi one, we're gonna learn about Kiwis later. So open, and let me use the Kiwi here. So that's that Kiwi application. So run. So this is a Kiwi, right? Monthly investment 1,000, tab. Yearly interest is 10%, and years is 10, and calculate. That's the result. All right. So you could write the Kiwi. We're gonna cover Kiwis later after we finish all the okay. So this is a very simple IDE. Comes from Python.org. You should download. You should be familiar with it. The only problem is it's good for small codes, right? But it does not have a trace. It does actually, but it's very limited. You know, if you need to debug your code and all of that. But you should start with that. The other one I would recommend you to do. Okay, so that's clear. You know how to do it, right? The instructions in the PowerPoint presentation. So make sure you have it. All right. Make sure you have it. Okay. Let me close this. I couldn't close that. The other one, the other two I recommend for you to try. Okay, is PyCharm. PyCharm. So PyCharm is a very nice IDE for that you could use for Python. Okay. However, it's pricey, very expensive. But the good news, if you register as with your education email that means ends with edu, okay, you will be able to get it for free. All right. So it's one of the most common IDE programs that you or compilers for Python that you could use. So this is PyCharm. So you need to download it and you need to learn it. So go to YouTube. You'll find some instructions how to use it. It's very easy, but it's so advanced. Also, you could debug very nicely. You could do different things. So if I need to go, for example, let me close this. I'm not sure what I was doing in here. Oh, it's in here. So I could go the same thing, open the file I had before. Or I could, for example, here write the code, simple code. So in here, also, what you have to do always, you have to create a project. So you could say new project. Whenever you do something, you have to create a new project. Okay. So project, for example, let's call it project 1. Whatever, 1, 2, 3, whatever. Create it. And open or a new window. So a new window. Just create a new project, and you could go in here, for example, new and Python file, and you could give it name, okay, F1 for example, okay, and you could start writing your code in here. For example, you could say import, okay. Before I import, it's just print something. Print. Hello. Okay. And you have to right click in here and run F1 because usually you could have multiple. And the output comes for you in here. Hello, right? Okay. Now I want to show you one thing, how to import packages. That's very important. So let's say, for example, import numpy as np. Let's run it. So run F1. It will give you error. Why? Because we cannot run it. The package is not there. You have to add the package, right? So just remember how to add the package in here. Go file, all right, and I think you're gonna go somewhere called settings, all right. So in settings you could set the appearance, how the interface, the color, whatever, make yourself comfortable when you're using it. But the most important thing is that you have to let me check. Okay, project in here. So project interpreter, you go to the project interpreter. The only package imported so far is these two. So if I need to add the package, I have to say plus in here. There's a plus in here, okay? And I could search for it. So what I'm looking for, num I, right? Num I. All right? And install package. It says installing. It says installing now. Installing, okay? So package NumPy installed successfully. So for any package you need to use, if you are using like the previous pipe, you have to do pip install NumPy. In here you have to go through this procedure and add it. So I already added the package. Okay, let me close this. Then, as you see it in here, it's already. Can you see? It's, yeah. NumPy is installed, right? It's already installed. So close this and okay it. All right. Now let me run this again. Now I added the package. Let me run it. Run. Oh, sorry. Num. I think I'm hungry. Okay, NumPy, so num. So it did not complain. Alright? So remember that during your programming that you will be able to add many packages. You need to add many packages, right? So you have to add them. So that's how you add them for PyCharm, okay? Which is a very good package that you need to use, all right? for the for here to add a package, here there is something called, so let me go to C, CD Python, okay. So let's say I want to add NumPy. Already NumPy installed in my package, but the way you know pip install and the name of the package, for example, NumPy, hit. So you are using pip version, you have to update it. Okay, let's say Python -m pip install -pip. So I'm upgrading my pip right now, and then I try to install the NumPy. Okay, so if I say, for example, in here, pip install NumPy, so I already have it. So I have like 1.15 version. If I don't have it, it will install it for you. Okay? So far we learned about two IDEs. The third one you could use actually is the one of Visual Studio. Okay, Visual Studio comes with Python. So those who are used to Visual Studio, maybe they could use Python, which is coming with the Visual Studio. It's the same interface, and you'll be able to use it. So there is multiple different IDs that you could use. Okay, myself, I recommend for this class use PyCharm and the idle. PyCharm and idle. Let's have a break for about 10 minutes and come back. All right, thank you. So we'll continue. I'm not sure if you are able to see this board. I mean, are you able to see things? People in the back, are you able to see? Are you able to see?
Yeah.
Really? I'm from here, barely can see things. So you know, I mean, if really difficult or something, we have to move to a different classroom or something. Let me know. I mean, you know. So as I told you now, okay. Let me go back to the PowerPoint presentation. To my PowerPoint presentation. All right, and so basically in the Python compiler, I mean the compiler, you have the code editor. You have the code editor, like I showed you two, PyCharm. I showed you idle. I showed you Visual Studio. You're gonna write the code, and this file, the source code will be .py. Then it goes to the Python interpreter, all right, and it will give you the bytecode, and Python virtual machine will execute it to you on the operating system, right? So 3 steps basically for compilation, and people from computer science know that. Okay, the programmer uses a text editor or IDE. I'll give you 3 examples so far. Okay, so there's many. I'll give you 3. You could use any one of them to enter and edit the source code. This file should be extension of py. Then after that, the source code is compiled by the Python interpreter into a bytecode. Then the bytecode is traced by the Python virtual machine into instructions that can interact with the operating system. So if we have a code print to the screen, so you interact with the operating system and execute that command to print something to the screen. If you have a command to input, to read it from the keyboard, it interacts with the operating system and give you like a prompt that you could read to the screen. All right. When it comes to the memory, you know, any computer has 2 kinds of memory, right? Have a dynamic memory, have RAM, and have hard disk. So usually your code is saved in the hard disk. The files are saved in the hard disk, but at the execution they will be moved to where? To the main memory or to the RAM. Okay. So that's why when you start working in machine learning, deep learning, when you deal with the big amount of data, it's important that you have a lot of RAM in your computer, right? Not now. I mean, we are using small data sets, we're going to use small data sets. But when you use data sets which has a lot of data, the size of the RAM is a very important thing. All right? So I already showed that to you on here, the idle. I already run a program for you in the idle. So, you know, you write the code in the idle. Then this is an interactive, so you could do whatever interactively with it, experiment with the command and all of that, okay? And, you know, this is some instructions how to use the idle. I keep it for you to read, but I already showed you how to use idle. We executed the program for you in here, okay? So for example, we open a program which is written, and we go to run, we hit F5 or go to run, and we could execute the program, which we already executed it for you in here. So this is an instructions how to use the idle. We already showed that to you. All right. Okay, how to install the Python? I already showed you that. So you go to python.org, downloads, and you download the program. So make sure you select 3.7. It's a good thing to use 64-bit for the future, but if you use 32 for now and later on change it to the 64. So to install 64-bit version later, you have to uninstall the 32 and install the 64. All right. So you need to, so when you start downloading, you use customized installation. And then make sure you add the documentation. If you like, you could access the documentation from the web all the time, right? Or you could use pip, and you have to add pip. What is pip for? To install the packages. To install the packages. Okay, you could select all of these anyways. Okay, and myself, I don't like to keep it in the standard, so I like to create a Python folder right on C. Because if I need to write the path and all of that, it's much more easier. It's up to you, but if I were you, I create the Python, you see the Python folder in here, at the C, and it's a good idea to name it Python 3.7, for example, 3.7 or whatever, in case that you need to install different versions later. All right? Just to follow the setup and do the installation, right? All right. So there is many other options, as I told you. This is the default that everybody starts with. Idle, use this. But there's other options like PyCharm, which is highly recommended. We just executed a code with it, right? All right. And I told you, all you have to do, go to PyCharm and register yourself with your UB email, and it will create an account for you. When you download it and install it, use that account, it will be free. As long as you are part of academia or using academic email, you'll be okay. All right. Then after that, you try also Visual Studio. If you are like a person who used Visual Studio for so many years, for C#, for example, or C++, you are used to the IDE, right? Used to the interface. You could use it. Right? You don't have to go to learn by chart. Idle, which we explained before, and this is you should learn. There is also Canopy from NM Thought. Okay, I did not use it much myself, but I heard it's very good. Okay, these are the three. Now for text editors, if you need to install several text editors, there's Emacs for Linux users. Anybody use Linux Unix before? Emacs, and Notepad++ for Windows. And actually, Notepad++ is a very nice interface, and you could set it up to automatically compile Python code. So there is certain steps to do that. I don't see a need to do that. Who does that? The person who used to use Notepad loves it so much. Okay, use it for C++, use it for Java, use it for different things. Does not want to change. Just wants to use that interface because he's used to it. That's fine. And you could continue to use it. You have to make yourself comfortable. Use the package that you like, that you enjoy. The IDE that you enjoy. There's no problem with that. Okay, it's good to be familiar with other IDEs, but at the end, your choice. So, Visual Studio, I gave you some links in here, so that's where you download it, and this is a tutorial how to use Visual Studio for Python. It's for you to try it out. Okay. The PyCharm, this is the link. The person asked me a few seconds ago. All you have to have the EDU email. Then you go. Create an account, you download it free. You don't have to pay anything, and it's a huge package. It's a very nice package. It's a very nice package that you enjoy. For those like to use Notepad, as I said, Notepad++, okay, you could use it and you could configure it. So Notepad+ Python script plugin, it's a trial. You could add it, or you could configure it yourself. And I added to you 5 slides, I think, how to configure Node++ to compile Python, step by step. All right? I'm sure most of you will not be interested in this, but in case you are interested, I have it for you here. All right. There is also something is very nice, which is the Jupyter Notebook. Anybody use Jupyter? Yeah. It's a very nice. Very nice. You could use it. Again, all you have to have the packet. So. Okay, so in here, let me go in here. All you have, I installed it. So pip install Juniper. If you don't have it, so how to install any package, pip install the name of that package, and you have to be connected to the internet, right? Juniper, just I already have it, right? And to run it, all you have to do, okay, I think Jupyter, no, oh, I think, didn't it? Jupyter. Was not installed, so you can install Jupyter. So Jupyter Notebook. So you could write the interactively, the code interactively. Myself, I did not use it, but I have seen it. Yeah, in here, for example, so it's like you could write by line and execute. So you go, for example, print, like, hello, all right, and run, give you in here. So you could, it's a very nice, you could, write your code. You could have multiple lines also, okay, and, you could also create demos, you could explanation in between, and so on and so forth. So you could add as much, blocks, and each blocks will be executed together. So for example, if I put in here, for example, x equals 1 and y equals 2, okay, z equals, for example, x plus whatever y, okay, then we say print, x, comma, y, comma, z, all right? So I could run it as a block, run. So x is 1, Y2 and Z is 3 printed together. So if you have like a large code, you could divide it into blocks. You know, you'll be able to, you know, isolate, you know, the problems if you have any problems. Okay? Beginners to Python like to use it a lot. You could use that. All right? Whatever you like. It's good to know all the different options that you could have, right? All right, so let me go back in here, and let me go in here. All right, so that's Juniper, okay? So there's lots of resources for the people who ask for a jailed managed assistant. By the way, I don't think there is any language served like Python, all right? So just the moment you have a question or you'd like to know like how a certain function or certain method used, just to type it, you'll find many help and very nice help. All right. So you cannot actually write a code in Python without having like a web screen that you could do search. And there's a lot of resources and tutorials. Just go type Python in YouTube, to Python in Google search, Python anywhere. You'll see a lot of searches. So what I need you, this will be your homework. I'll tell you about your homework this week. You have to plan for this week. Will be a planning for yourself how you're gonna run the next 15 weeks, right? So you need to know about you have to learn about the 3 IDEs: PyCharm, Visual Studio, the idle. You need to install them, play with them, write simple code, try to compile with them. Make sure that you are very comfortable to use them. You know how to do the debug. Remember that you're gonna come to the point where you write huge code. So you need to debug the code. You need to debug your logic. So I need you to do that. I need you also to look about many resources I listed for you in here, and many others that I did not list, but they are there. And of course, you know, yourself, I mean, just to be smart. If you need to be smart, when you have so many resources, you know, to get used to one kind of resource presentation, it takes you a while. So maybe it's not very wise that you keep switching between different resources. Pick 1 or 2 or 3, get used to them, you know, bookmark them and keep going to them whenever you need. So just you need to know what's out there, right? You'll find many series for Python teaching. Introduction to Python, NumPy, SciPy, you know, Pandas, machine learning, deep learning. You'll find one person who created like 100 lectures or 20 lectures or 30 lectures. All right, maybe you need to pick one of them and, you know, watch. I'm teaching Python in here. I'm telling you right now, I might not be the best teacher for Python because there's people presenting nice presentations with you know, a good environment where they have the camera, where they can pause, where they can cut, you know, part of the code, where they can do the code, do the video multiple times, and then give you the best fine video for you ready, right? So there is a lot of resources nowadays. Let me put it this way. Nowadays, there are so many resources online for you to learn any programming language, any science. All right, and it's done, and a lot of investment on that because, you know, as I told you, there's a lot of resources, time. They could repeat the video, the clip multiple times until they have the best video for you, and etc. etc. Why we take any classes at the college nowadays? Because we put you in the path. The problem with following these videos or lectures, you get excited, and you go, you've watched the first video, the second, you take the first lesson, third lesson, fourth lesson, and then you stop. There is nobody puts you in the path. You're taking a degree and the class in here because the instructor will put you in the path. So today, we'll cover this, and your homework is this. In 5 weeks or 6 weeks, you're gonna have exam that covers this and this. At the end of the semester, you're gonna have a project to do. And this is the project, and this is what is the expected outcome. The value that any instructor gives to you in a college is to put you in the path towards the learning. Why? Because at the end you need the grade. You need to get A or A++, but of course you will not accept F or C or D, right? So that's the whole thing. So there's so many resources, so many good resources. don't ignore them. Don't ignore them, okay? There is a topic, so that we did not cover very deep in the class. You'll find a lot of resources for that. So one of the places that I think, one of the courses that you don't need a GA for it is Python. You can't imagine how much it is served on the web, all right? There's so many web pages. And I'll share some of you, but I'm sure if you find something fancy, much more nicer, share it with me. There's no problem. All right, so as I said, there are lots of resources. Check them. There's whole YouTube channels for Python. One of them, for example, is Python Tutor, okay? Python Tutor is... So this is Python Tutor, okay? Very nice, you know, so you could visualize your code. And this is for actual introductory course. So for you, dear, I forgot your name, yourself. This is very good for you when you learn like a new programming language because you could trace a code. So try it out yourself sometimes when you are confused about logic or something. So for example, if I say, for example, x equals 2, okay, y equals 6, okay, is x equals x plus y, all right? So if you go down in here and visualize the execution, so now it's going to go line by line and shows you what will happen in the code, how it goes in the memory. So let's step forward. So now we are here at x equals 2. So what does it do? So it created a variable x equals 2 in the memory. Now we're going to go here, y equals 6. Let's execute it forward. Oh, created a variable, okay, frames. And then we go to the next sentence, which is x equals x plus y. Okay, now x equals how much? 8. Why? Because the previous x equals 2 and the y equals 6. 2 plus 6 equals 8. So how many memories reserved in here, right? And so on and so forth. So you could write a code that shows you execution line by line. So this is a very good website for people who coming to programming. Maybe it's like not very much useful for you in most of the cases, but take a look at it, play with it. I already added for you in here, so take a look at it. All right? All right. So that's visualize code and get live help. All right. Tutorials. There's so many tutorials. Okay, so many tutorials. Okay. There is, for example, automate the boring stuff with Python. This is a very nice tutorial. I mean, they are available. I put them in the slides for you, so you feel free to, to play with them. Okay. So in here, it's like a whole. I mean, explains the Python from scratch for you. So it's like table of contents, introduction, Python basics, flow control, functions, lists, dictionaries, and so that's what we'll cover in the class. But this kind of textbook, you're going through with it with examples. So let's take a look, for example, Python basics. All right. Well, you don't have to wait for me. You could, and it comes with YouTube. So there is text and there is YouTube. You could watch the YouTube. You could, do the exercises, for example. Here, and grow. And explains things for you step by step with a video. All right, so it's like a whole course. You could go through that. All right, this weekend actually. So it's a very good if you need to excel in this course. Don't wait until I start covering things that become difficult. I mean, you are not busy now. The first 2 weeks are much more light, I think. If there is anything light in your life, okay, it will be light time. You don't have a lot of pressure, not a lot of homework. You know, Python programming takes a lot of time. Just go over this course and this weekend, spend some time, run it, to try get yourself familiar with it, all right? So, you know, the more time you spend now, the less that you need in the future. I'm just listing some of the, you know, some things, okay? Then, you know, let's go here. Okay, there is also Real Python tutorial, this Real Python tutorial, okay, another one. Let me try. Show it to you quickly. Alright. Little bit advanced, but maybe later on you could use it. So, working with files in Python, you need to know work with. Look in here the topics. For speed up your Python program with concurrency. This is really advanced stuff. So now you're writing a code and all of that, but your code is a little bit small. So you need to create concurrency. It will Django. Okay, Django is like a web framework. Ultimate guide to Python. Okay, and so on and so forth. There's so many things that you could see in here when you become a little bit advanced. Okay, here for example, Python community interview with brain creators. Interactive data visualization in Python with Lookup. I never used it. I don't know what it is, right? So there's, you know, Python is a huge package. There's a lot of things you could do with it, right? Setting up Python for machine learning on Windows. Okay, and so see how many things you could. A lot of resources. So much. Let's pick Python code quality tools and best practices. Let's pick one of them. Okay. And it comes like even with subsections that you could go to, with the sample code, with all of that. So each one of them is so much information that you could use and learn. But this is a little bit advanced in here. The previous one, the visualize, is a little bit not advanced, and this is a little bit advanced. So, you know, and students have different levels. So you need to know which one you're going to start. But definitely you have to start with the basics. You have to know the basics. Okay, Rebel It is also, you could write a code, try it out. I mean, it's okay, I don't like it much myself, but you could write a code interactively on the web. Okay, Rebel It. And Rebel It, you could write multiple languages, not only one language. So Rebel It. You need to create an account, I think you need to create an account, login. How can I remember my login? So I don't remember my login. So login, you could write the code, and also you could some Rebel It. I think you could get some help. GA, free GA. You have a problem that you could get information about it. This is just I'm listing some of the resources, tutorials. There's a lot of tutorials. Okay, very nice tutorials. I listed some of them that I like them very much. The most important tutorial and the most raw and rough one is the one comes with Python. Why is it raw and rough? Because it's the manual. It's kind of the manual. It includes everything for you. So when you have a package, and the package has like 500 methods, it will list the 500 methods for you, which you never use, right? Okay? But it's always the ultimate. That's the manual, right? That's the manual. As an example, all of us, in our cars have a manual, right? But when you have a problem, how many of you use the manual to fix the car? Very few, right? Very few. But yeah, if you know how to use the manual, and you are expert, and that's what you're supposed to. If you're looking for a job to be a Python programmer, you should be very familiar with the manual, because that will be the area, right? So gradually you have to visit the manual and try and try to. So what I told you also, remember what I told you, that any code. So for example, let's search what you like. For example, I need, for example, to log how to use log, you know, to look at the log, okay, Python 3. It's coming from the math book. Right away, and you don't need to get tired. Seriously, you don't. You don't. So this is the mathematical function, and it's a math. So you have to import the math library. Okay, the math library here. So, and you look for the control F, for example, log. You don't need to get tired. I mean, seriously, I mean, so much served in the internet, okay? Just have to get used how to read this manual, all right? So when you have, for example, any package, let's say you have any package, right? Like math. So what do you have to do? Import it. There's different ways for importing, we'll talk about it later. And what comes with the math? What is math? It's a class, right? It comes with many methods. We call them methods. You know what's methods, right? All right. So method, let's say a log. What in log, any method? What you have? What does it do? Has inputs and has return value. So you need to know what it returns and what are the inputs. These inputs, there is two kinds. Mandatory, they must be there, and optional. You need to know what are optional inputs and what are mandatory values. Okay, for the return value, some of the methods return in C, for example, C++ usually you return one value, right? Right? In Python you could return 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, or many. So when you look at the manual, let's take a look at the manual here, math. Okay, okay, with one argument, so it's one argument, okay, return the natural logarithm for x to the base e. With two arguments, if you have one argument, so what are the default base? E. With two arguments, you could specify the base. Is it base 10, right, or base 2, or whatever. So with two arguments, return logarithm of x to the given base, okay, calculate as log x over log base. Okay? So what's gonna return? The value, which is a float, right? Okay, and so on and so forth, right? So this is, for example, log 10, hour, for example, hour in here, and on and so on and so forth. If you go back, you'll find, for example, log how to Python 3.7 documentation. And also includes, no, that's a log how to log the calculation, different log. Let's start from that. Anyways, so you got the idea how easy it is, right? So Python package index. There is a website. It's very important to take a look. It's the Python package index, okay, where it includes all the packages in the language. And yourself, when you create a package, I think you could upload it there. So it's like an index for all the packages used in Python. InThought has a lots of training also. InThought, the third package I just showed you. So let's take a look in here. Let's go in here. So tools to learn and develop in Python. Python essentials. Okay, the whole courses. I mean, so much search. NumPy, you need to learn NumPy, which we're gonna cover. SciPy, okay. Advanced Python. Courses. If you need to go to NumPy, for example, course details. Okay, for Advanced Python, it has 27 lectures, 15 exercises, 4 hours, 15 minutes, advanced. I think also, you need to subscribe and create an account. Right? go in here, for example, tools. Okay, so this is the first Python, whatever program. Anyways. Alright, so you got the idea, right? Many tutorials. Now, we're going to go to the packages. We're going to cover the packages as much as we can. So the first, we're going to cover NumPy. NumPy is a fundamental package for scientific computation in Python. It's a very basic thing that's very important for data sciences and deals with matrices mostly. Alright, matrices, right? So how to convert the table, like Excel sheet, which has millions of data, to a matrix to do operations, right? So it contains, among other things, a powerful n-dimension, multi-dimension. You know, in matrix, how many dimensions you have usually? 1 or 2 or 3 dimension. You could have like 100 dimension. 100 dimension. Okay, it could be very complex thing. Okay, so we'll go over the basic things. So sophisticated broadcasting. What is broadcasting? So when you put everything in a matrix, you broadcast an operation in the whole matrix. Broadcast. You don't do it like usually without broadcast. What you have to do? For loop, for. No, it comes with the broadcasting functions that you could do many operations directly on the matrix. Okay. NumPy can also be used as an efficient multi-dimensional container of generated data. And you could load a whole data set in a matrix and do operation. Alright, so a lot of we're going to introduce you to that, and it's not as easy as we think. SciPy is the math. It's like the Python-based ecosystem for open source software for mathematics, science, and engineering. So all the problems for engineering, differential equations, integrations, you know, all the math things you could do it with, optimization with this huge package. All right. So to be able to, if for example you don't know what is integration, so for, you know, I cannot teach you this, right? I mean, you have to know the foundation. So just we're good to know it more, right? SciPy, this is for symbolic math. I don't think I'm going to cover this time, symbolic math, but you know, pandas, wonderful. What a beautiful package that you're going to use. I mean, seriously, this is, I mean, it's so cool when you use it. So we're I might start with pandas after we finish the basics of Python. We're going to start with a pandas. But what is pandas? It's a package. So how you use it in Python? Import pandas. Import pandas. You import it, and then all the functionality of pandas you could use. Okay. So it's used. It's very much used for data analysis library. So it's a very good package. We're gonna introduce you there. Then you have Matplotlib. This is for 2D drawings. 2D drawings. Any kind of drawing that you could imagine, you could draw it. Right? Nowadays, what they say, one picture worth 1,000 words. Right? I say million words. When it comes to science nowadays and all of that, so instead of talking with one nice graph, you could explain the whole economy. You could explain the whole, test results with one graph. So there's so many graphs. I mean, we know like histogram, a few graphs, but there's so many graphs. And if I need also to cover everything related to this package, I might need 2 courses. Okay. We are just going to give you enough information. And any person working data science is very important for them to know how to graph things and how to read it and all of that. All right. And after that, this is kind of introduction for machine learning, deep learning, scikit-learn. It's used for deep learning, machine learning. So very important. So, I mean, I hope we'll have time to go over some of the applications of it, but this is huge, huge. I mean, like, this is only talks about this package. All right? Okay? So we're gonna introduce you to that, all right? And then after that we have Seaborn. It's a very nice small package that it uses for statistical and data visualization library. So these are the references, these are the books I put in here, all right? So now, the main book I'm using for Python is this book. That's the main book, all right? All right? All right. Do you need to get a book? You don't. You don't. I mean, that's what I'm covering myself. You don't. Why I like to have a book? I mean, a book because usually it has a story. Any book has a story. So you see, you know, I mean, when you go learn from tutorials, you'll learn how to use the for loop, you know, but there's no major application that you develop. Most of the books, they start with application development through the book. So it's like a story. You start small, grow the program, your program, and you learn through it. And that's what I'm using for this. So it's a great book to have. I recommend you having it. But if somebody says, you know, I'm bigger than buying a textbook, you are bigger than buying a textbook, no problem. Okay, there is a lot of resources for you. All right. Also, this is one of the best books in Python in machine learning. You have to get it. The nice thing is now, Packed, if you go Packed, they're selling online books for $5. So this is like $50 to buy print. But if you go to the Packed, I'm not sure it's the deal for me or for everybody, but it's like $5. Okay, you could buy like PDF. So my recommendation, if it's still $5, okay, is just to create an account and all of that. Just for, I mean, you could get all of these books for $20. All right. If you need to buy the hard copy, it will be $200 or much more. But it's like $5. Okay, the packed. So you just create an account, try to get it, and then put that account. The one book I did not put in here, which is the Pandas for everyone. This is a great book that I'm going to use in this class, but I don't know where's the book. Maybe I lifted that book or something. Okay, so you know that's basically what it is. You like to get the book, textbook. You don't want to. This is the major book. Okay, the other ones is like $5. It's a very good resources to have. Okay, feel free to do whatever you want to do. And also, as I told you, each one of these have big resource, huge resource on the web. So, you know, you could learn from there. You could do whatever you want. Any questions for me? Great. So, in summary, I mean, today it was like introductory for Python. What is Python? What we're going to cover in this class. We just set up some logistics to make it clear to you. This class is a graduate course, so you are expected to have introductory course before in programming, so you know C, C++, object-oriented programming, Java, C#. All right, that's number one. Number two, it's preferable that you have algorithms course before. That will help you a lot, you know, to do this course. Number three, this course requires from you a lot of programming, so you're gonna have homework almost every week. And my homeworks are, you know, long and killer, and they take a lot of time. The reason for that is the only way to learn programming is by writing code. All right. By the way, you could spend this nice book. You could spend weekend read it all, but at the end you cannot write a single code. The best way is to write a code. Even if you are getting a code from here. All right, I don't recommend you to cut and paste. Actually, in my PowerPoint slide, I give you all the code to try them out, and you could just open the file and execute it. You could do that, and in the Canvas also I put the code for you. You could do that, but that's not the way to learn. The way to learn, you take a code, you write it line by line, because you're going to create a lot of compilation error, a lot of logic error when you're typing it. Okay, and you learn from it. All right. So that's a way to learn programming. Programming is not about reading. You could have like so many books, so many resources. Okay, unless you trying it out, you're not getting there. All the material is posted for you in the Canvas, so you could know in advance what they're gonna cover. All right, although there is a change in the materials, a lot from last time I taught it. So in the previous teaching, I taught, for example, Django and different thing. I'm not going to cover it. This will be strictly data science from now on. So that will prepare you for machine learning, deep learning. And once you have this course, you know, you will be very much ready to jump in the next step, deep learning and machine learning and data analytics, etc., etc. Depends in whatever you want to do. All right. Submission of homeworks will be on Canvas. All right. So basically, you'll have homework every week. Usually it takes you 7 to 10 hours to do the homework every week. So you have to expect, like, between reading the material and doing it, 12 hours to 15 hours. Okay, it's a programming language. Okay, I mean, if you are a good programmer, it will be much more less than that. Okay, but I assume that you only had one course in programming and you forgot about it. So it's gonna take you some time to learn that. All right. For those who are graduate, I need to see them for a few seconds here if they have time. Okay, just to know what they know and what they plan to do. Just I want to make sure they're ready to do that course. Finally, you're gonna have a project at the end. Okay, and in the project, usually very involved. I expect a little bit less from undergraduate students, but not, you know, not that I don't expect much from them. All right, so we'll work it out. All right, so be ready for a busy summer, not summer, busy semester. All right, busy. Well, I mean, if you don't finish it, you'll be busy in the summer finishing the project, right? And if you have any questions, you could email me personally. Any questions you have. All right? Any questions right now for me?
For homework this week, just go over the different IDEs and
Yes.
just practice.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I listed homework for the first one. Just check the Canvas.
Okay.
If it's there, then this will be in top. So you're gonna need some time, you know, to go over the IDs and playing with them, running some codes. Figure out the resources I gave you, which resources you would like to follow. If you like to follow any besides my lectures, maybe you like some of the YouTubes. Maybe you'll enjoy it. You finish the book in the weekend. You never know. I mean, you could. By the way, this is a language. This is a language. What is a language? It's like normal language. Like when you learn English. All right. It does not mean that you learn the vocab and the grammar of the language that you know how to speak. Right? So, and you could find somebody, let's say, international, and has limited vocab and limited, grammar, but still when they talk, they express and this come up with a good idea. It's a language. It needs some time to learn, all right? I always say, okay, how babies learn the language? Over time. So they start Baba, Mama, food, whatever, Anna, what I forgot, okay, what they learn. I mean, if you give the baby all the books in front of him, the 2 years old kid, and you put all the videos in front of him and all the movies, okay, you have 1 week to speak perfect English. Will they do it? It needs time, practice. Same thing in here. And that's why they call it language. Okay, it needs a lot of effort, a lot of practice, good practice, all right? It needs some courage, needs some ideas. You need to practice a lot. If you need to be a good programmer, that's how you do it. And by the way, I mean, like my GA last semester for Python, he's applying with Google, applying with Amazon, applying with big companies. And nowadays, I mean, yes, I mean, if you get the job, you get $200,000 a year, okay, but to pass the 5 exams, 5 interviews, it takes you a lot. Not during the interviews, many years before the interview. What you have done before you go for the interview. The fact the person received a request for interview, that means it's excellent. But still, if you see nowadays in the job interviews, the questions they ask you to go to write code, you do things, right? So it's not as easy as before. So you have to be, there is a lot of potential for all of you. There is tens, hundreds, thousands of jobs available for you as a Python programmer. The only condition is you have to be a good one. One more time, you have to be a good one. All right. So to a good one, it needs a work. That's a problem. Programming. It's not something that you could pick up in 1 month or 2 or 3. It's not something you could pick up by reading 1 or 2 or 3 books. It's not something that you pick up by writing 10 or 20 programs. All right. It's not something you pick up by taking just the programming language itself. You need to have the algorithms. You have to have a logical way of thinking. You have to have many things. All right? So work on yourself. Invest in yourself. Okay, what is the right investment for yourself now? Practice. Practice. Do the homework. Do the project. Work in groups. I don't mind if you work in groups, by the way. All right? I don't mind. Okay? In your exam, somebody, for example, will give him a problem. He goes search for how can he. I cannot prevent that. It's not the way to do it. It's not the way I advise you to do it. The way you do it, you should think of yourself, how to program and how to do it. And then if you seek help. But let's say right away and seek for their help. Don't submit like a homework you don't understand how it runs. You know why? You know where I catch you. You know where I catch you? I catch you in the exam. For the homework, you're going to have a lot of homeworks. I give 10% for the homework. It's a gift from me. Take it. Okay? But I have 60% or 70% for the midterm and the final. And I mean it final. Final covers everything. Okay? And final, good luck. Good luck. If you are a person who are a copy machine, good luck. Okay, it's a closed book. You have to use your brain, what you have learned, and all of that. Okay? It's good luck. All right? And you have a project. And the project could talk to you, right? Could talk to you. And if you did a project in the interview, I can tell you, okay, we did a good project. What? Good work. Okay, just, it works this way. I'll give you 10 minutes to change it to work that way. All right? If you are the person who did the program, you'll be able to do it easily. You agree? If you're a person that use your mom or dad, or grandmom, granddad to help you, it will not be run anyways. But it will have difficulty. So, summary. Okay, you might be able to get help in the homework, and you submit the homework, and you're happy. The max you can get 10 out of 100. But you're gonna write codes, you're gonna analyze codes, you're gonna ask tough questions, deep questions in your midterms and finals. Plus, you're gonna use all this knowledge to do your project. So please take this course as an advantage for you, to learn, not just to get a grade. If your goal is to take a course and get a grade that you have a degree, a paper, okay, please drop the course, find another course, because you will not be able to make it. You could ask your colleagues before, okay? They cannot make it here, okay, this way. All right? Deal? Thank you so much. See you next week.